Questions on any topic? Yes?
So NEWIEE recently kicked off its Rising Professionals group for recent grads to the energy environmental fields, and as well as folks that are new to the New England region. So from your perspective, could you offer those folks that are here tonight some words of what to look forward to and some actions they can take to get more involved?
To get more involved as women,
As women in this emerging industry, for those that are new?
Yeah, well, I think that for people women who are just entering this field, I think look to the left and to the right and women around you in this room, because there's no greater example of successful women in this space than the likes of those gathered here. So use this as an opportunity to connect, to network, and to those of you with experience in seasoning, make it part of your daily work to find opportunities to support and mentor other women and new women in this sector. We know that the numbers are bad across the board, right? Whether you look at corporate America, whether you look at those in state legislatures or in Congress, right? The numbers are not right when it comes to representation of women and people of color. And certainly in the energy sector, the numbers we know are really quite dismal. And so you represent the opportunity to really change that pipeline and populate it in a way that the decision makers, the policy makers, those driving and leading the change that is necessary are going to be there and in place. So I guess that's what I'd encourage folks to do. Let tonight be the start of something. If you picked up somebody's business card, call them. If you gave your business card to somebody and somebody calls you, I know you will sit with them, talk with them, and we're all going to help one another. Sure. Yeah. Here. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, Mary, it's a great comment. You know, we have to tackle this regionally. Obviously, there have been some efforts already, and you look at RGGI. I mentioned RGGI and the model of RGGI for dealing with the transportation sector. It's also why, in convening the meeting of the entire eastern region of AG offices, which is what is happening in September, everyone stretching from Maine down through Maryland and DC, this is going to be the focus of discussion. And I think much of what I articulated tonight is something that we're going to posit and put forward for consideration regionally. We have to act regionally. I know my team and your teams are engaged regionally on matters, and that's where we need to continue to be.
Will part of the discussion be carbon pricing, or is that off the table?
I think everything should be on the agenda, you know, and we've got to figure out what makes sense and also what we can get done and what we need to prioritize. Yeah. Yes. Hi.
I work in the education field, so a little bit outside of what you all are working in, but like you mentioned,
I'm just dabbling for tonight.
environmental factors impact our kids' health.
Sure.
Disproportionately impact our kids of color.
Yeah.
How can folks like myself in an industry outside of the environment and energy sector be supporting what y'all are doing so that we can be moving forward together to help those who are most deeply impacted?
Where do you work? Or what area?
I actually was teaching in Los Angeles, where we have really deep intersections between environmental justice and education outcomes. And right now I'm working doing education policy for Boston.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrific. That's great. Well, welcome to Massachusetts. I think this is really important, and part of it, it's great you're here tonight. I think we need to just work on ways to make this information more accessible to the public and make it easy to digest and explain the ties that exist. You know, we care a lot about environmental justice. We talk about environmental justice, but we need to explain that to selectmen, to zoning boards, to city councils, those who are making decisions on siting and permitting and the like, and really kind of build out a community so that it's not just the enviros. We need to find common cause. And I think now more than ever, you know, that's what I think we need to do as a general matter, and to try to understand the ramifications for failing to act and failing to take those steps. So, you think about our schools. Are we talking about, I started this morning in Lowell, Massachusetts at Mill City Growers. It's an urban farming operation, and my office helps fund jobs for the counselors that work there. But obviously so important because these kids are learning about healthy food, and they're taking care of their environment, and they're looking to build community gardens elsewhere, and it really helps open their eyes, and it's happening through the schools. So I think that's really important. I think we got to encourage that kind of communication and that kind of synergy, and look for opportunities for corporate sponsorship and involvement there, because some of this requires that. It's not easy for schools and others to just generate this on their own. Yeah, no, thank you. Yes?
Hi, I would like to go back to the question of diversity.
Yeah.
And I know, sorry.
You want to talk about diversity? Okay.
I think, this is one of the few events where most of the people attending actually are women. And this is a topic that of course requires effort from many different parties. So I'm interested to know first what your topic, given your leadership position, what your area, your teams are working on to promote diversity, especially in the energy and environment field. And secondly, what kind of support that you would like to have that we can provide, right? I think we should all work together, and I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I'll take it as an opportunity to answer more generally. Obviously, the women who run energy and the environment for my office for the state are women, so I'm trying. And we got a lot of women here tonight from that bureau. But I think you have to be really intentional, and I think it is critically important that at the C-suite and leadership and executive teams have to be actively engaged in this. One of the things I did was create for the first time ever in the AG's office a chief of diversity and organizational development, and empowered her to completely revamp our hiring structure, which was not easy, to move to hiring panels, to engage and make sure that somebody who's trained and is from the Diversity and Inclusion Committee is participating in every single interview. And I am proud of the results. We have a ways to go, but we have significantly increased the number of people of color in particular into our office. But that only comes about through really intentional, sustained effort. And if that is not happening within your organization or your company, make it happen. Make it a thing. Because I don't believe, first of all, it's a matter of fairness, but it's also a matter of good policy making. To go back to healthcare, it's like some of this stuff, if it weren't for the fact that there were 12 men or 15 men around the table making these decisions, not having a clue as to the actual impact of those decisions, we might not end up in the position of constantly having to sue the administration for dumb actions, So if you get right people in the room, if you get the right mix of people in the room, and this, companies that have better representation on their corporate boards and diverse corporate boards actually have a better bottom line. This stuff all ties together. So I think demand it, set up systems to incent it and reward it, and just continue to work on it. It is not easy. We have so much work to do. As I say, one of the things I instituted right away, mandatory unconscious bias training. It is so important. But I go into school a little while back, and I'm reading to a group of second graders, and I'm talking to them about what I do, and they understood it was sort of, like I was the boss of some sort of thing. But yet, there was a man who walked through the back of the classroom wearing a suit, and a little boy put up his hand and said, "Is he your boss?" And that's just like not uncommon, right? It's okay, explain that he wasn't, but it was all, I had another thing. Find moments to make a point about this stuff too. Gina Raimondo refuses to make a decision unless there is diversity of representation in that meeting. She's been very clear about that. Just make things, rules. Within our group, we also had to create a community engagement division so that we were going out to communities and so that we were listening to and talking to communities with the appropriate language capabilities. There's no way to be the people's law firm unless you have people that look like the people of the state and are also listening to people across the state. And so you need to do that. And I will say this to all the women in the room. I know it's a fight, every day it's a fight. I'm still called honey and kiddo by some, and that's just, what do you do? I'll tell you what I do though. A while back, this is like a while back. So when I first got started, people come in for their meetings. They want to meet with the AG, and they come in with their lobbyists and the whole crew. So they come in, they meet with me, and I shake hands with everybody, and we sit down. And then all of a sudden, at the very end of my conference table, I'm at the head, and I look down the end of the conference table. There's a woman whose hand I didn't shake, who I never met. Why? Because she was getting boxed out by everybody else. Now, having been a young associate at a law firm, I knew that she was the one who had probably done all the research and the work. So once I introduced myself to her, I proceeded to ask her all the questions. And she, of course, knew all the answers. And I think everybody in the room got the point. But find moments, to make the point and to make it clear what's acceptable and what's unacceptable. And you don't have to do it in a hostile or aggressive way, but you have to do it because this is a tough world, and there's a lot out there stacked against those who for far too long have been underrepresented or not represented at all. And this being the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment and the woman's right to vote, I hope that every day we can find ways for further empowerment, and I know I can count on all of you to do that.